Good evening, boys and girls. Here we are, another week of football talk on the Highbury squad. You know the rules. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is indeed the Highbury squad. And tonight, there is no holding back. Woo! Welcome to another Monday Madness Top 5 Talking Points, sponsored by Football Prizes, hosted by myself and Super Kev and Campbell, back in the house. Oh! Stretching, he's ready.
Listen, the Friday was a nightmare. I've had a family weekend. I've had a lovely weekend.
Oh. Kev.
But it's time.
It's time. I have not had a lovely weekend. I'm just saying. I mean, I had a lovely weekend with, Tony and the kids. But yesterday's game just added to a little bit of heightened supersonic voice depression. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Son just annoys me. He annoys me because he's so good, and he annoys me because he's like such a crybaby, and then everyone raves about him, and it just annoys me. Anyway, screw them. Let's talk about us, shall we, Kev? Mm-hmm. Good evening, squaddies. At ease. Here we go. Let's say hi to some folks in the house. Live long, may the force prosper. Which force is that, ask?
Probably your force coming to try.
Marvin, Brentford, Bruk, Arteta's neck. In several places. Yeah, several places. Kevin, good evening. Supporting Arsenal right now, you have to be mentally strong. Arsenal got their neck broke from a team who ain't been in the Premier League for over 70 years. Kev, it's true. It's all true, isn't it? It's all true.
All true.
All true. Superflea, good evening. Best way to support Arsenal is loan your support out to the men.
That's funny one, that Superflea. That's funny. You don't get any payment for it, but you get a smile at the end of the game, right?
Oh, my God. Superflea. That's so awesome. Taib, our boy in the house. It's the player Soph in Kev's defense of Arteta. Super Kev, come clean and say it as it is. No more crap, please. LOL. Oh, Kev, I've got some stuff for you.
I hope you have, because you know what?
Mm-hmm.
This is the thing. When you tell the truth, people all they want to hear is what they believe.
Oh, of course.
I will always tell my truth, not what you think, squaddies. I'll tell my truth.
That's the nature of the beast in life these days, isn't it? Everyone just wants to hear their voice,
opinion, what they
not
think.
Listen to others. Yeah. Well, look, there's 200 plus in chat already, Kev. Darren's heard you on Sky. Casey has just DOE.
Done.
I think he meant done.
Yeah, done.
Fantastic interview. Is almost Arteta out the closet I've ever seen. Brilliant interview. Thanks, Casey, you legend. Let me get through these and then you can talk to us a little bit about that. Ostiman, one of our regulars. Arteta need to sack Arteta. Arsenal need to sack Arteta. There's tons in here. So let's just get on with it. Rich, hope life in Turkey is good. And I love, Kev, as always, how all of our squaddies greet each other before the show even starts.
Fantastic.
Newman, enough is enough.
Is enough.
Is enough.
One extra, eh? One extra for Newman.
One extra. Okay. Good evening, everybody in chat. We love and adore each and every one of you. Keep those comments coming in. I will put them up as I get them. Wesbird, Virginia, Liz, Mark, Matty, Nikki, everyone, Craig, all of you guys, welcome to the show. I do have I got it cocked and locked and ready to fire tonight. Okay, here we go. Kev, before we start, can you tell me, you just came off Sky Sports. What are they saying? What's going on? What's going on over there? What are they saying?
We're gonna cover whatever they asked on Sky. We're gonna cover it here.
Okay,
right?
I want to.
What they wanted to do, they just wanted to delve into really, is Arteta the man? Is what kind of footing is the club on? And really to gauge my feeling, which you're going to get anyway. So.
Okay, so let's start with that. And by the way, Jack from Ethiopia,
hey,
welcome to the show. Well done. Remember, let us know wherever in the world you are as well. The Highbury Squad community is here. It's going to be a big hug tonight, but it also might get a little bit testy. Okay. Hello, Poland. Good evening to you. Welcome to the show, everybody.
Gooners everywhere.
Gooners everywhere. And you know what, Kev? They're all hurting because they love the club. Everyone loves the Arsenal. And this weekend was really, really hard. You know what made it harder for me? Let me start here. I predicted a loss against Brentford, and I was okay with that because my stance behind it was the fact that they're a newly promoted team and they're going to come with guns blazing. They're excited, 70 years, haven't been in the top flight, and we saw that. We saw the atmosphere. And by the way, Kev, can we just give a round of applause to every fan in the stadium? I don't care who you support, whether it was at Tottenham or Newcastle or Brentford or at United. Round of applause for the fans, because having them all back in the stadium
and made it such a different spectacle, didn't it? It was brilliant.
Kev?
Absolutely brilliant.
You're a player, you know, playing to empty stadiums and then full stadiums. It gives you something else as a player, doesn't it, Kev? Like, do you just
100%, 100%. There's a heightened expectation to it. And don't forget, it's what you're used to. You're used to, if you're away from home, having to battle the opposition fan base as well, because they're trying to be the 12th man. So it was brilliant to see.
Yeah, it was really brilliant. And the Brentford fans were amazing. Let's give them credit. I mean, they were just fantastic.
It meant the world to them, didn't it? It meant the world to them.
Yeah, absolutely. And our good friend of the show, Natalie Sawyer, she was very happy with the result that night, of course. So
as she should be.
As she should be. I mean, what a debut. And look, it's not necessarily that they're going to continue that form, Kev, but, you know, early doors, like we all know that City started off poorly last season. They went on to win the league. We all know that Tottenham won the league in December and they faded. They beat City. You know, they still have a transitional team, a new manager. Who knows what's going to happen with them? Manchester United looked absolutely ruthless against a Bielsa team that also looked a little bit unprepared for the start of the season. But we're here to talk about the Arsenal. So let's get stuck into it. I want to start with my first point, Monday Madness, top 5 talking points, Kev. I would like to start with this duo. These two. Now, I understand being on vacation and having a holiday. All right, Kev? I get it. So he's on holiday with Raul and their wives and Kia as well, right? Now, maybe I'm old school. Maybe I'm being too sensitive. Maybe I come from a different cloth of... Maybe this is the best way for me to describe it to you, Super Kev, and then you can take it away. When I was head of publicity for Columbia Pictures, Sony Pictures, in the UK and Ireland, my boss was one of my mentors, and she was an incredible managing director, right? But they decided to move on from her and hire somebody else. And we're working on a film. It wasn't a great film. It was a British film. I won't say what it was, but it was a film with, you know, some prominent British talent. And we were doing a junket at the Dorchester Hotel in London. And she was so influential for so many of us for so many years that she became a friend and a very important friend and someone who was important in our lives, right? But publicly, in the beginning, we had to be really careful about being seen at events or hanging out with her, right? Because that's just the corporate line. That's just how it is. And I just think in a time where Arsenal are in complete and utter turmoil, and I get that you can work from anywhere now, a yacht in the south of France, an office in South London, somewhere here in Newport Beach, that you can do your job. But to have these images kind of out there when they know what the fans feel and what's happening, and the fact that there's 2 weeks left in the window and he's doing what he's doing. Are you offended by it at all? Because I had to be careful about, I was told by my bosses, look, I know you love her, but this is the new guy and you need to support him. You need to be front and center with him. So just be careful about what you're doing. How do you feel about something like this? Am I being too critical and overly sensitive about it?
Yeah. Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. You don't know you don't know what's going on that holiday. You don't know whether they're talking players. You don't know. We don't know. So he might be doing his job while he's out there, because he's with people who do, one, have players and have the connections to clubs for players. So it could be a busman's holiday where he's actually working out there.
But do you think it's wise to be like flaunting Raul pictures with a do? Do you think that's the right thing to do in this time where we're in the wars and the dregs, Kev?
Right thing to do is listen. I don't care who he socializes with, and this is the thing, Sophie. Whoever you socialize with, whoever he socializes with, I don't care. What I care about is Arsenal getting better. That's what I care about.
Okay, so
and the fact is, we haven't. Have we? We haven't. And it might be not for the want of trying, Sophie, but I particularly remember me and you having a conversation last week when I said, or the week before, when I said, sometimes the issue isn't that Arsenal want the players. It's the other clubs who don't want to do the business with Arsenal.
I get that, Super Kevin Campbell. But however, the point of my point for point number one on this Monday Madness on the Highbury squad here is, in a time where there's turmoil, in a time where there's a protest planned for the Chelsea game, in a time where we lose to a promoted team in the fashion that which we did, in a time where your two premier players have gone AWOL and are supposedly sick, shouldn't you be a little bit more sensitive about having your wife post pictures or your friends post pictures of you on a yacht having fun? Because let me tell you something, Kev. I go on a vacation or a holiday and I take my laptop because I'm on a working holiday. But half my mind is on the champagne being served and the other half of my mind is on, I got to send that email. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but for me, Sophie, I've already said it once and I'm going to say it again. I'll repeat it. The key to what he does is about dealing with the people that he's around and trying to get players in. That's his job. So if it takes you to a yacht where there's champagne, that's what you have to do.
But why to sign Coutinho and let Auba and Laca maybe go to Barcelona?
Well, who knows? But at the end of the day, we know Arsenal have needed the players. The players haven't come in for one reason or another. And yeah, somebody put their bad optics, but it's down to you. You're asking me as an ex-player. I don't care. Some people take it on board, but I don't care about what he does. I want results, Sophie. That's what I want.
I know, I do too. But when Raul was terminated for dubious reasons and he's seen with him and we're in this tumultuous time, Kev, I'm telling you right now, it is, as Dubba Ducky says, it's bad optics. It really is bad PR. It's absolute horseshit. And I'm telling you something right now, I'm over it. I'm so over it. I'm ready to unleash. I don't even know if I should today.
Tell me. Go on. Go. Let me hear it.
I can't take it anymore. What are they doing to our club? They're destroying us.
Who are?
From Wenger, Gazidis, the
It's
Cronkies.
The whole shooting match.
It's been going on for too long. And now we've got clowns, inexperienced clowns, okay? We've got the Three Stooges. Look at them. They got no experience. This guy's been given the opportunity to run the club on the right. To me, the guy in the middle is a novice. He's 19 months, 3 windows, okay? 8th, lost the Europa League semi-final to the man he replaced because he completely screwed up his tactics. The guy on the left calls the bat phone when he's in trouble and goes to Kia, and supposedly he's now trying to flog our 2 best players to Barcelona to get Coutinho, who hasn't even played football in 18 months. I mean, I need to take a breath, Kev, because I tell you something, I'm over it. What are they doing to our club? They won this thing. They won the FA Cup, and it gave them coupons. It gave them a lot of mileage. And you know what? That mileage has completely run out, as though you reach the end of the mountain and there's no way back unless you go over the edge. And I'm sick of it. How much more do we need to see of how we're playing, what we're doing, what he's doing? I've held back on this show a lot because I've tried to support Arteta so much. And I've told many people so many times that humble pie is baking. But I can't, Kev. How do you justify this?
Sophie, and I know you and many of the Gooner Nation, the Gooners, feel exactly the same. Of course you do. Of course you do. Of course it's painful. 100%. I agree. But here is the issue. The issue is we shouldn't even be in this problem from the start. But the fact of the matter is, Soph, we are in the crap. We are in the shit. And what we've got to do is get ourselves out of it. And a lot of people actually think just by sacking managers, it's all of a sudden going to change. It isn't. There has to be a plan that is in place, and it starts from the owners. We know that.
Kev,
we know that.
Okay, can I just say one thing real quick? How is it? Okay, like I know that people keep saying to me, the reason why Tuchel was able to turn Chelsea around is because he had great players, okay, better players, of course. But we've seen managers with really good teams and great players that get sunk. The point is Chelsea fired a legend, Frank Lampard. Arteta's not even a legend of Arsenal Football Club. You're a legend. Henry's a legend. Vieira's a legend. You know, Fabregas is more of a legend than Arteta. You know, these players
Sophie.
It's but Kev, the point is that Tuchel came in and he changed things and in a whim
but Sophie,
and he's so like smarter and he won 2 trophies.
Sophie, I understand. I'm not saying I'm against you. I understand what you're saying. But again, here is the issue. If they wanted to go down the experienced manager who's going to need the money, they would have done it before Arteta. You didn't want Arteta. I didn't want Arteta to start with. The fact of the matter is, they went that route. That's the route they went.
But why do we keep blaming the owners? Give me
because they're the ones who make the decision, Sophie.
Okay,
they're the ones who make the decision on the manager.
Okay, they made a decision on a manager based on the options that we had. Okay. And they did it because they did.
No, they didn't. It wasn't based on the options that we had. It was not.
Like Chelsea.
No, Sophie. Sorry.
Give me a minute. Let me. Hold on. Chelsea hired Frank Lampard because they needed a PR exercise. They were ostracized from the transfer market. There was a lot going on. There was debris everywhere with the manager that he was replacing, and they needed to bring the fans back in. Chelsea fans were losing their minds. They weren't going to games. And the same thing with Arsenal. They went with the player who was a lovely captain and did nice things while he was at the club, and he was a cheap option just like Frank Lampard. But Chelsea realized that you can't do that in order to be successful and win and carry on the legacy that other managers have left before him, right? So we went with Arteta. And let me tell you something about the Cronkies, right? I know they're terrible owners. But how long have they owned the club? This mess has been happening with other people making other decisions for years and years and years. The Cronkies are absolutely terrible. There is no doubt about that. Okay, Kev? But 72 million on Pepe, 52 million on Auba, 55 million or thereabouts on Lacazette, 35 million on Xhaka, 35 million on Mustafi, 27 million on Saliba, 27 million on Gabriel, 25 million on Kieran Tierney, 17 million on Lokonga. Do you want me to keep going? 400 grand a week to Willian. Do you want me to keep going about how much they've given the club? Sometimes their mistake is giving the job to people that have mismanaged the business. But the people who have been managing the business day to day and making these contracts and decisions are just as culpable as the Cronkies. They put their trust in people as well.
Sophie, but you're answering your own question. You're answering the point that I'm going to say.
50 million on Ben White.
But you're answering the point I'm going to say. What is the point in making all these mistakes and giving this money to people who are getting the wrong recruiters and wrong recruitment in when you could have got the right manager? We were talking about different managers, right? Experienced managers. But the experienced managers are going to need money, Sophie, because they know I need the money to move this thing forward, but they wouldn't do it. That's my point.
Kev,
they would not do it.
I'm telling you.
That's why they went for Arteta.
I'm telling you right now, though, there are managers, and don't shoot me, chat room, okay? Honestly, I'm telling you, I don't care. I'm not saying I want Graham Potter or Eddie Howe to be managers, but they've managed and brought teams up and had to build bottom up. Eddie Howe especially. I'm not saying I want him as manager. I'm just giving you examples of managers that in the ilk of Arteta that had more experience managing a club and players. Eddie Howe brought Bournemouth up 3 divisions. Graham Potter has done wonders for Brighton. I'm not saying that if that was the option, they went for the yes man, the corporate guy. He sounds like a robot now too, Kevin. He's talking nonsense every single day. You know why? Because he knows as well as we know what the reality is. And now we've got Auba and Laca, who they announced 3 days ago can't play for the Chelsea game. Are you serious? We went from this and this and this and this to them
zero.
To zero?
Zero. Sophie, listen, I'm going to say it again. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I don't know. I'm not in the dressing room. I'm not inside the club. That looks the worst picture of all.
Explain it
day
to me,
before
Kev.
day of the game, all of a sudden, out the blue, they're out. And out probably for the next game. It's left everybody, it leaves me baffled, it leaves you baffled, it leaves the Gooner Nation baffled. I'm baffled. But again,
I need you to help me understand, Kev. Like
but what can I understand? I don't understand it. I don't know because I'm not inside. I don't know what's going on.
I had to take my hat off because I'm sweating so much.
Yeah, listen, I don't know what, Sophie. Look, we have discussed Mikel Arteta, and we have said, and you've heard me say it. If he got the sack tomorrow and another manager came in, I'll back the new manager. So whether he is there or not, Arsenal is what matters to me. We are in the shit. You know it and I know it. We are in the crap. Right? One thing I will say. You have called out Edu and all that. I think that the signings that they have actually done have been quite good.
Not everyone. In which window? This window?
Yeah, this window and before. Because go on. No, go on.
Go on.
Because when you look at the likes of Gabriel, you look at Thomas Partey, you look at Lokonga, you look at Ben White, I think they're good players. I don't think they're bad players. I think they're good players. I think they're good players, and they're going to be good players at the Arsenal for years to come. the structure of everything, the legacy, Sophie, is what we cannot shake at the moment. We can't shake. Nobody wants our players. We can't shake the likes of Granit Xhaka is still at the football club. We can't shake that.
Can we just there's so much. I mean, my top 5 talking points. Good evening, everyone, by the way, all 500 plus of you in live chat. I'm just saying, good evening, squaddies. Welcome. There's so much that my 5 points are going to get morphed into one, and we're just going to talk.
Yeah.
All right, Kev?
We're just
going to let it roll. Yeah. And I haven't gone supersonic for a long time on the show.
Sophie, you know something? You need to. Because it's like a backpack on you. You need to let it go. And there's no better place than on the hybrid squad.
Virginia,
you know what I mean?
I saw Virginia's point. She's like, here we go again. Yes, Virginia, here we go again. Because the reality is we're seeing the same goddamn tape every single week.
It's another lap, isn't it? It's another lap.
19 months, 3 windows. And I'm not talking about the FA Cup win. You know what? You could even argue that was Unai Emery's team he took over and won the FA Cup with. All right. But he still won it. Okay. And Aubameyang was firing. My biggest concern right now, Kev, is what is happening with these two. And the PR from the club and what they're saying and not saying. And I know that Aubameyang hasn't scored, and I know he's been terrible. Lacazette for me is a totally different ball game, right? But what is happening with these two? And is there anything to do with the fact that I've defended Xhaka for so long on this show, and you know me, I'll always admit when I'm like I'm wrong or I'm right or whatever it is, Kev. Okay, I defended Xhaka, but when he says Rome is a beautiful thing. Whatever the quote was he gave over the summer, Rome is a beautiful thing and blah, blah, blah. And then he's flirting with Mourinho on Instagram. And Arteta and Edu, all right, these two Muppets, want to sell me, who's defended Xhaka, by the way, right? So if you can imagine how I feel about it, how people who haven't felt comfortable with the Xhaka situation, Kev, giving him a new contract, more money, announcing it today, and then also he doubles down and makes him captain. And they want us to believe that we're moving forward. And even I, as someone who's defended Xhaka, is standing here and saying, you know what? No. So what's happened with Xhaka being cuddled and hugged once again when he was clear that he wanted to leave the club? They give him a new contract, more money. And these two, all right, who played beautifully under Unai Emery and scored a shit ton of goals, and especially Lacazette being a leader last year when Auba was lost, and I criticised Auba, but since the North London derby, rightly so, I said he should have been benched. But the relationship somehow, Kev, has died since then. His management of players, the way he treats people, players, he picks and chooses. It's a mess, Kevin. How is this happening?
Well, it's happening because when things don't go right, that's when you hear everything start to come out of the football club. You start to hear rumors. There's infighting going on. That's where all of the rumors come out. Because you know what, Soph? Whenever you think about it, whenever Arsenal have been successful, the dressing room has been, everything has been nice and cool and calm. But you tend to get this type of thing happening when things aren't going right. And it isn't going right. For whatever reasons, whether they've had an argument, whether they've locked horns, whether it's, listen, I don't know whether it's the fact that Jack has come back in the fold, and I don't know.
That's speculation on my part. I'm just saying.
But I'm just saying I don't know, because for us to give the truth, Soph, we have to be inside. So we can only really give our opinion, right? We can only give a good opinion of what you see. I will give my opinion. The squaddies, I'm sure, will have their opinion, whether they agree with me or don't agree with me. It's fine. Everybody's due their opinion. But I said it after the game on Friday. When we do not have Lacazette and Aubameyang in our team, we really lack something. And I know Aubameyang's been awful. He hasn't scored, but it's still, there's something really missing from our team, Sophie, when them two are not there.
You made me really think about that over the weekend. And when I was on Tom's show on Saturday on Gooner Talk, good friend of the show, you really made me think about that, Kev, when, you know, even though a player might not be scoring goals, they still might offer something to the team. And I think because Auba's scored so many goals over that 2-year period, and last season we didn't see that. And clearly there's a disconnect between him and the manager. There was times where he still hustled defensively and he tried and he was taking players with him, which opened spaces for other players. So I really sat down, and I think Tom and I talked about a lot, Kev, about just taking a beat, and your opinion may not always be, your opinion's your opinion, but it may not be right.
Mm-hmm.
And that we need to kind of like be accountable to what we say, and then be open to the fact that maybe what we think might sometimes be right or wrong, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And that comment you made me really think about, I can see what he's saying.
Sophie, for me, when Auba and Laca play, the opposition have to fear them. Whether they're in good form or not, you have to respect them, because the moment you don't respect them, you could find yourself 1-2 goals down. So you have to mark them differently to say a Balogun and a Martinelli, who are just learning they're just learning the game. If we're honest, they are just learning the game, and they are talented. They're very talented, but learning the game and actually making a difference at first team level is huge.
Yeah. Robert, you've hit the nail on the head. We've become soulless. It was like I was watching
It's not Arsenal. It's a different team, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a different. Sophie, do you remember? I think we had a show last year, and we were talking about going to Highbury. Mm-hmm. And when you were going to Highbury, and you knew you could trust the team that was going to cross that white line, it made you not overconfident, but it made you hungry. It made you even more confident going into the stadium.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I gave people shit left, right, and center and put bets on all day long.
We haven't had that. How long haven't we had that feeling? And and that's why I get squaddies, gooners, all of us being frustrated. The frustration boils over. We've seen the summer. We're expecting things to get put into place. And LK, it says it right. Soulless and spineless. The winning mentality, DNA, that never say die attitude isn't there anymore.
Kev, can you explain to me how, and this isn't me promoting Unai, right? Because even he, at the end, it was going wrong, right? But he was dealing with whatever he was dealing with. I got to tell you right now, I'd take Unai's Arsenal over Arteta's all day long. That's just me, right? But can you explain how Auba, Laca, and Pepe thrived under Unai, and what's happened under Arteta?
Yeah, I think Unai's game was more geared for attack. And if you remember rightly, a lot of the times when things didn't go right, it was through the center and at the back. But we could always score goals, Soph.
Mm-hmm.
But our Achilles heel was that midfield and defense yet again. Remember, we were frustrated about that. We were really frustrated about, we need that midfield and defense to get sorted. That's what we need. And we never addressed the problems. That was our problem. And then when you do address the problem with a new manager who is a novice, of course he's a novice, all of a sudden we start struggling scoring goals. The defense gets a bit better and the midfield gets a little bit better. But Arsenal not scoring goals, we aren't good enough to keep the best teams out. And in the end, last season, we weren't even good enough to keep the bad teams out.
Yeah.
At times, Soph, you know.
I know. And you know what, Kev? And you've seen this because when you were a young player coming into your Arsenal team, you were surrounded by, forget about it, major ballers, right?
Yeah,
you
but
were
not
set
only
up
that, Soph. Sophie, I'm glad you said major ballers. But put the ballers aside, Sophie. Put that aside. I'll tell you one thing they would do, Sophie. You never saw that team get bullied, ever. Think about that. You never, ever saw that team get bullied. They might lose a game, of course. It's a game of football. But you never saw them lose a game like getting out-muscled and getting out-bullied and everything like that. Never. Because they were hungry and they loved the club, Soph.
Yes. And I feel like I felt bad for Balogun and Martinelli in that game, Kev. I really did. And anyone who criticizes those two, just really, we said it on Friday, take a look at yourself in the mirror. You know, you cannot blame those two young players for what happened on Friday. Kev, how is it we got so bullied by Brentford? This wasn't even, I'm going to say, like, okay, Wolves have been in the Premier League a little bit longer. I mean, how is it we get bullied by Brentford, Kev?
Do you know what, Sophie? I drive people mad on this show and on Sky, and everywhere when I say, when you cross that white line, Sophie, you have to better your opponent. The key to football, Sophie, is to be better than your opponent, the guy up against you or the girl up against you. If you get more players who win their personal battles, you will virtually win the game. They knew we need to test them physically because technically they're better than us, but we need to see if they're prepared to scrap it with us. And you know what happens when they started scrapping it with us, Sophie? We can't even do the basics right. With a long throw Wimbledon style into the box. Centre half misses the header. Goalkeeper don't even come for the cross. The ball bounces, and there's two of their players waiting to head it in. Sophie, that is basic football for a centre half.
Isn't that like, okay, I'm not saying Tony Adams is a great manager because we've seen that he's not, but who's coaching them, Kev? I mean,
Sophie, woke.
I mean, that's basic stuff, isn't it?
Yep, Sophie. A centre half, you can't. This is stuff you learn as a kid, Sophie.
Even I learned that when I was playing girls football.
Yeah, Sophie, this isn't something that, you put that right on the training ground. No, that's a centre half's job, Soph. To head the ball. Do you know what? You would see Tony Adams and Steve Bold rub their hands together because it's a long throw in where they could look good, heading the ball out. Lovely. Bring another one. No problem. And Pablo Mari gets a lift on the shoulders and misses the ball completely. So,
he was terrible, Kevin.
Sophie,
he was terrible.
and this is another thing I will say. I've seen people have messaged me and people have put on record that it was a foul on Leno. It was no foul.
No, come on.
It was no foul. Listen, Leno should have moved him out the way. It's his box. He's got to take charge of it. Right? He's got to take charge of it. And he's just like that. Come on, man.
You know what was interesting, and I don't want to bring them up, but what I do, and everyone, 650 of you in live chat, thanks for joining us. There's only one rule in this house, and that's if you hate Tottenham, hit the like button. But I'm not going to take the piss out of them today, because I just think that's not the right thing to do. Because
listen, they got a good result. Fair play to them. City weren't even at the races. They got the right result. Good luck to them.
6 weeks, Nuno's given them an identity. 19 months, we're still waiting for what our identity is. Now, I'm not saying they're going to do anything, because I'm sure that eventually they'll go Spursy. But when you see Sky Sports News posting stuff on Twitter saying Lukaku's going to play this weekend, oh, I'm sorry, Arsenal fans. And then Jamie Carragher on Sky Sports saying, people need to come up with a new word for Arsenal fans that's relevant, that's like Spursy. That is like pathetic.
Yeah, but you got to remember, Soph, I've said this before and I'll say it again. They don't like us, Soph. Arsenal being good is not liked. It is not like Sophie. So again, we're on our own. With the players, with the club, and with the fans. We are on our own. And the worse this gets, Sophie, is the more they're coming for us.
So one of the things that, Son annoys me, like I said at the top of the show, but one of the things he said in his interview on NBC Sports here with Lee Dixon after the game, right, was he was talking about what they do off the ball with Nuno, right? Because Lee said, he goes, and I know Lee was thinking in the back of his head, he's like, what? Arteta hasn't been able to do this, right? So Lee's like, tell me what Nuno has done and how long he worked with you to prepare you for this game against Manchester City. And Son was saying, like, it's not just this game, it's about him coming in and executing what he wants us to do, right? Mm-hmm. And he talked about how City are good, like, with the ball, what they do when they don't have the ball, and the way Son was talking about it, he was talking about it like he had joy in his voice.
A scheme, because
like they know the what manager they're doing.
Had planned. It's a scheme. But Sophie, trust me on this. Trust me on this. All managers do it. It don't always work. All teams do it.
Kev, are you telling me that you've got Tierney in the team?
Yeah.
You've got Laconga, who's fresh. I mean, I felt bad for him too against Brentford. That's his first game.
I thought he done all right. I thought he done pretty well, to be honest.
He did.
The supporting cast wasn't quite there.
No, and at the time I was a bit hard on Smith Rowe, and I was a bit too harsh on him because he was trying, right? Yeah. Then you had a novice in Balogun up front, who you could tell he wasn't, he needs more game time. Mm-hmm. But still on paper, when you have, I've said so many times on this show, Chambers isn't the guy, and then he makes changes and he brings on Tavares when he has 3 right backs on the bench. It just seemed like he wasn't, it just didn't feel like a team, Kevin. And I guess I go to, even Newcastle looked like a team at the weekend. I know they lost 4-2. But they were outdone by a West Ham team that are playing with confidence. Like when you see what David Moyes has done with West Ham, he's given them an identity, he's given them something. Even Watford looked like a team against Aston Villa, who was supposedly signed 3 great players, and they got the great Emi Martinez in goal, Kev.
Here's the problem, Sophie. Sometimes when it comes to the first game of the season, you plan, you don't know what's going to happen. Because you know what? You prepare the same, you do the same things, you do the right things, and it can go pear-shaped. And it went pear-shaped for numerous reasons for us. And that's too many reasons, and that is no excuses. On the day, we were not good enough, and Brentford deserved to beat our ass. That's 100%. But here's the thing, Sophie. I remember being at Arsenal and us playing Norwich in the first game of the season. We're 2-0 up at half-time, Sophie. Came out second half and lost 4-2. And Sophie, if you say to me, Kev, how did you lose that? I couldn't put my finger. We prepared the same. We played the way we're supposed to. They got the breaks. And I'm not saying, by the way, that Brentford got the breaks because Brentford were the better side. All I'm saying is sometimes teams hit the ground running early. Sometimes teams did at Manchester City were awful yesterday.
They were terrible.
They were terrible.
Pep got it wrong yesterday. He should have subbed Mendy. I mean,
but they were terrible.
They were terrible.
They were terrible.
Yeah.
But we were worse. let's be honest. We were worse. If we do not have our best team out,
we can't.
We're struggling.
Compete. But also, don't you feel like a lot of what you saw in Pep yesterday, that arrogance a little bit, is what Arteta's inherited a little bit?
Listen, it's there. It is there. They're
right?
going to do it. They're going to do it their way. But also, Soph, they do it their way, and their way might mean they've got to fall on their sword.
But and at the end of the day, Kev, they're professional players, right? So the stat I read on the post-game show on Friday, and for anyone who missed that, and you guys in chat, let me know as well. By the way, some fantastic comments and conversations going on in chat. Thanks, everyone. 650 of you in live chat right now.
Don't forget to hit the like.
For joining us. Hit the like button for sure. 15 games behind at halftime.
He's zero wins.
0 wins. 2 draws and the rest all losses. Kev, you know, remember we talked about, again, I'm going to bring him up, and I'm not saying anything, like, please take this in the spirit of which I say it, you guys, but I'm only going by who came previously, right? Mm-hmm. There was something about Unai of second half Arsenal. Do you remember that whole narrative?
Yeah, used to adjust. Used to adjust.
Right? And do you remember early on when we had the water breaks?
Yeah. Yeah.
Arteta was able to get to the players, talk to the players, and there was an adjustment. But the progression of that, and when Auba and Laca aren't showing up and something's wrong, it starts to make you feel, I've heard rumblings, okay, that some of the players are tired of his arrogance. I've also heard rumblings that London Colney is the most depressed place it's looked like in years. Now, I don't know if these rumblings are true. The source for the arrogance comment comes from a very good source, that some players are tired of his arrogance. And a few people have put it up in the chat about whether or not he's a coach. And that worked at City, didn't it, Kev? Like coaching players. Yeah. You heard Sterling talking about stuff like that. And there's a lot of micromanagement conversation going on right now and overcoaching. What do you think about that, Kev?
Overcoaching, it's a difficult one, because you know what? We've seen Pepe start to play at the back end of last season under him. And Pepe started to do a lot better under him. Okay? So is he overcoaching, or is he trying to improve? So maybe it works for some and not for all. So, maybe it does work for some and not for all. And maybe the difference at Manchester City when he does his coaching is that they're more open to what he's doing because Pep's like that. Do you know what I mean? If Pep's like that and then he does it his way, but it's in the same vein, they're not getting put out. But the problem sometimes with Arsenal is this, Sophie. You remember when Kieran Tierney came down and he's getting stuck in training and the players are looking at him like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Arsenal, do they want to get better, the players, or do they just want things their own way? Mm-hmm. Because that's what I think about myself in the dressing room, Soph, and I think about a coach pulling me to coach me. I was still learning to play at 37 years old. You're never too old to learn. You're never too old to add things to your game.
Yeah.
And especially when the likes of Raheem Sterling turned around and said Mikel Arteta's been unbelievable for him. Pepe should have just went, right, I'm out with you all the time. Martinelli, I'm out with you all the time. Saka, I'm out with you all the time. And I believe there is coaching going on the training pitch. And we've seen Saka step up. We've seen Pepe step up, especially second half of last season. But it's not for everybody, Sophie. And the Arsenal, as far as I'm concerned, are soft. I tell you who used to micromanage. George Graham.
But it was effective. And people listened to him and he had the respect.
You've got to want to as a player.
I get that too. That's a fair comment.
As a player, Sophie, remember, he's the manager. He's the one who picks you or doesn't. So when he says, look, when I was a youth team player and I'm going over to train with the famous back five, he's constantly speaking to them and he's behind them and he goes to the side and he stops it and he gets them into position and he moves them and he says, this is where I want you guys. I don't want you destroyed. I want you do. But they've got to want to do it. You want to get better, you've got to put the work on the training pitch, Sophie.
But Kev, Graham had an ego, but was he an egomaniac?
Yeah.
You know,
he was.
Okay. But
he loved it. But he had and here's the thing you see, Sophie. He had a genuine want and need because of his ego to challenge Liverpool and to beat Liverpool because they were the yardstick.
Yeah. Like Sir Alex, that was the goal.
That was the goal. They are the yardstick and that's who I'm going for. And he said, I think I've said it on air before, Sophie. First day of pre-season, I'm a 16-year-old. Me and David Ilya sitting beside each other. And he said, everybody here has a chance. If you're willing to listen, learn, and put the work in. If you are not willing to put the work in, come and see me and I will get you out the club.
But he treated you all the same.
He didn't.
In that he gave you all a chance.
No,
right?
he
had his senior players that he was like, they're the Dons, right?
Yeah, of course. But what he say, the key to what I want to take away from what he said is this, Sophie. Even as a youngster, 16-year-old novice, that just first time in, I felt like if I do what he says and I'm good enough, I'll get my chance. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Somebody at 16, I'm 16-year-old and somebody's telling me, you do this, you do that, you listen to what we say, you do what we say, there's the path.
You got a chance to start for the Arsenal.
You got a chance. And Sophie, I would have crawled over broken glass.
Absolutely.
Barefooted for that.
And modern day players are a bit different, Kev. I wanted to put this comment up from Fuzzy Wuzzy. I'm just wondering if Fuzzy Wuzzy, you've taken that from the movie See No Evil, Hear No Evil with Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder, an absolute classic.
Fuzzy Wuzzy, yeah.
Where he's like, they're blind and deaf, and he says like, was there or wasn't there a woman? And it's like, what are you kidding me? Fuzzy Wuzzy was a woman?
Wuzzy, yeah.
I'm getting tired of Sophie. All right, no problem. I respect that. The passion is great, but there's a serious lack of objectivity. You mean me bringing up other past experiences, how much money we've spent, giving Xhaka a captaincy again when he was flirting with Mourinho over the holidays, putting up young players and setting them up to fail. Is that what you're talking about, Fuzzy?
They're all true, Soph.
I totally respect your opinion, but I was Fuzzy Wuzzy was a bear. So yes, Kev, this is this. Thanks, Soph. By the way, hello, Soph from the Gooner Gossip TV, a wonderful young lady who's going to come on our Wednesday Women's show in the next few weeks, Kev, as well.
Lovely lady.
I love your insights, Kev, in the sense that you talk from your experiences, and as you evolved in your career, even when you got to Everton, was it different? Could you see, like, with the Rooneys of the world coming into the team? I mean,
well, don't forget, Soph, Everton were in a pickle when I got to Everton.
You saved them from relegation.
They were in a pickle. But you remember, they're in a pickle. So I look at Everton and I look at the Arsenal right now. And I look at squad and I look at Everton squad. The Everton squad that I joined would have been able to handle Brentford would have been able to handle, because the physical side was there. Everton's problem at the time was they couldn't score goals. They didn't have anybody to link the front. Okay? Our problem is we got spots at the back, we got spots in midfield, and we got serious spots up top. We got too many gaps. And you know what? People are saying I'm making excuses. But I'm not making excuses. I'm just telling the truth, what it is. Sophie, do I want gaps in Arsenal? I want Arsenal to have the strongest squad, and I want to win the season. I want to win the Premier League every year. I want to win the Champions League. I want to win everything. The problem I have, and probably one of the things is where it got mentioned about objectivity, and this is why me and you, it works on the hybrid squad, is because I come at it from a different angle.
Yeah.
I look at the players. I look at Balogun. I look at Martinelli. And I think to myself, they are being set up to fail. Why? Because we haven't even got the team around them to help them.
It's the senior players you talk about, Kev, and you have on this show for over a year. And you've always said, like the 92 kids of Man United, they had Eric Cantona. They had Brian McClare. They had Steve Bruce. Brian Robson. You know, they had...
The guide. They had all them players to... I think... what was his name? Irish left back.
Oh, Irwin.
They had Dennis Irwin.
Yeah.
They had some Schmeichel in goal. They had experience. And then when you get the youngsters in with the experience lifts the boys and moves them forward, as it should be. Unfortunately, so we're being carried by children.
We are. The weak sauce mentality started in the Wenger, towards the end of the Wenger era.
Yeah.
And Kev, you know as well as I do that even if you're working for a company, right, that's managed a certain way by people, that culture seeps in, takes over. The DNA switches and changes. And that becomes the identity of that company, right?
Yeah.
And it just seems like Unai was onto a losing thing. And in some senses, Arteta has been onto a losing thing too. But the end of the day, when we lauded him for winning the FA Cup and going on that run, and whether he was playing like a 4-3-3 or a 3-4, whatever formation he was playing, there was something about that team that worked, whether it was carrying on from what Unai did and him finishing it off, and Auba was on fire and Lacazette was on fire. And I know that Pepe didn't play so great under Unai, but in that FA Cup run, the three of them, Pepe, Laca, Auba, they were
handful.
They were lit, right? And we saw that against Liverpool in the Charity Shield, did we not?
Yep,
right?
we did. Yep.
So I ask you, as a player, how does it go wrong from that to then this in the... Is it like we're a cup team and not a consistent 38 game? We can't do it game after game after game after game in the Premier League.
We can't do it.
Isn't that though down to the manager keeping them laser focused as well as the players having to show up every single week? I just don't get it.
Sophie, again, I will say it. At the end of the day, the buck stops with the manager, 100%. Okay, but the players cross the white line and have to execute the game plan. The best teams execute the game plan on a consistent basis. Arsenal haven't been a consistent team for over a decade. We haven't. So, the manager is the one who has to prepare them, and you know what you're doing. Yeah, you can watch video, you can do this, you can prepare in the week. But you know what, Sophie? Come the Saturday when you go out there, we've been involved where people are trying to get out the stadium in the first half because the game's over. You know, that we haven't been consistent. We're not consistent enough. And although under Arteta we haven't been blown away, it hasn't been good enough. I totally agree with you.
If I don't remember the last time watching an away game and not hearing our fans, because our away fans, they are absolutely brilliant. And even when we're in trouble, they will sing their hearts out, whether they're at Norwich or Tottenham or United or Villa or wherever. And it felt like it just wasn't there, you know.
Do you know what it was, Soph? I think they were like us. They were shell-shocked. I think they were shell-shocked at the performance because I'll be honest with you, Sophie, I never saw that coming. That performance, I never saw it coming. And I said, even when we've done the predictions, Brentford can win the game. Of course they can. It's a game of football. But I expected Arsenal to be well up for it.
I mentioned here in TalkSport and Sky Sports, I was like, Friday the 13th, I'm not sure we're ready. We don't seem to have a complete team. There's something going on. I didn't feel it. Kev, we've been talking for an hour already.
It feels like 20 minutes, honestly.
I know.
It's just flown by.
And you know, we have some great stuff lined up for you this week. David Hillier will be back for the Tuesday-ish club with Super Kev tomorrow. We have
Can we get some of the some of the comments in this?
Yes.
Could me and
David?
Yeah, deal with some of them.
I'm not only going to read these ones for you, but we have over 300 plus comments from our Friday post-game show.
Brilliant.
There's a lot of questions people have for you.
Fantastic.
But also, just to let everyone know, there's going to be a new show that's going to be the YouTube comment show.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of people that can't be in live and they comment on YouTube after. And so we're going to have a dedicated show this season where all we do is read and answer every single YouTube comment.
That's the one for the fans, definitely. That's the one.
Yes, because as you guys know from the very start and anyone new joining, that the Highbury squad has our listeners, our squaddies, they're our co-hosts. This is it. This is who we are. No, Newman, you're not going to get a show.
I give him a yellow for that. He gets a yellow for that.
You know, you made an appearance very early on in the HS squad. Maybe you need to come back. Maybe it's the Truman Newman show. Well done, Mark. I like that a lot. So we're going to have that tomorrow. And announcing that David Hillier will be with us twice a month, where he and Kev will be on together Tuesdays. And I think that show will be definitely looking at answering listener questions and talking to the fans as well. But also them having a player lounge back and forth scenario where they're giving you their opinion from the player perspective. And these guys have a great rapport. So that's going to be great. The Tuesday-ish club is going to be a staple on the show. Wednesday, we have Jess from She Knows Arsenal. Newman, you'll be happy.
Watch Newman. Watch Newman. Come on, Newman.
Let's just hear it. Come on, Newman.
Come on, Newman. Let's see it. Where is he?
He's in love. I mean, he's totally in love. So we'll have Jess on. And then on Friday, we've got Kevin Says.
Well, Thursday
is Kev.
No, you said Wednesday, and then you went to Friday.
Thursday is going to be Josh doing presenting his tactical to Kevin for Chelsea. He's going to try and find a glimmer of hope of what we saw in Brentford, but he's going to give us his tactical approach to how we can beat Chelsea for Kev. All right. And I don't know how that. I mean, look, we've doubled them. We've beaten them 2017, Kev. 2020.
We done them twice last season. Exactly. Come on, Arsenal. Jesus, please.
I did say on Tom's show, and I know someone said, he goes, did Sophie just say that she doesn't care if we beat Chelsea? I was very upset at the time. Just saying.
It does matter. Of course it does. Of course it matters.
And then next week, we're going to have Kenny Ken on the show. We're also going to have Warren Barton on the show. And I've reached out to, there's going to be some really exciting guests on next week as well. Plus, we're going to have Chris with the French football show launching next week as well. We've got a lot of fantastic stuff, Kev. We've got our stateside squad show launching next week. And we're going to have Seaton from the Dan Patrick show joining us. Seaton is one of the Danettes on the Dan Patrick Show, and he's a huge soccer fan.
Nice
So we will have him as well. So lots coming up, Kev. Brilliant stuff. And then, should we tell him about should we tell him about Who Are You? Or should we save
not
it?
Yet. Not
okay,
yet.
all right. Okay.
Let's hold that for them.
Okay.
Let's hold that for them.
I'm giving him too much, aren't I?
Don't give them too much. Little by little.
Little by little,
yeah.
One other thing, as you guys know, I introduced this segment, Talented Gooners, last Monday. And I tell you, I've decided there's so many talented Gooners, and I've received so many fantastic emails, Kev. And I'm going to pre-record this. This is going to be one of our pre-recorded shows and segments. It's going to be 10 to 15 minutes because we're going to do some short form content as well this season too, where we showcase talented Gooners who love the Arsenal and have incredible things going on in their lives as well. Next week I'm going to feature, I don't know if you guys know Ruth's art, but she's a very talented artist, makes cards and prints based on Highbury and some old school Arsenal stuff. So I'll be featuring her next week as well. So really good stuff, Kev. Even though our team, sucks right now, you know what? We're going to keep trying to be loving and giving and do all the things that we can to keep our spirits up.
We have to, Sophie, because you know what? You rightly mentioned it before when everybody's at us. Everybody else from outside is trying to get at us. We're all we've got, Gooners, squaddies. We are all we've got. And yeah, the team ain't great at the moment, but you know what? It's ours. And that's why we're all so passionate about it, And I hope some didn't kick the cat or the dog or anything over the weekend. I hope you took you settled down. Great to have you with us and to talk about it, because you know what? That weren't good enough on Friday. That weren't good enough for the Arsenal. And everybody's right that it's not good enough for the Arsenal. But one thing we don't ever do is make excuses. We tell the truth and we try and make things better. So thanks for joining us today. What was the max in there, Soph?
700. So tell them, Kev, what do you expect?
I expect minimum 50% people. Minimum, if there's 700 in, we need minimum 350, right?
Totally.
But you know what? I want 400 plus. Come on now. Come on now.
Don't let Kev go, and don't let Kev down. Sorry, absolutely not. All right, Kev, why don't you take us out tonight? Oh, by the way, maybe I'll do this tomorrow. I'll save that for tomorrow. I'll save the little surprise new merch item for tomorrow. We'll do that.
Save it for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because they will like it. Anyway, listen, everyone, squaddies. You've got the utmost respects and the biggest salutes from me and Sophie. Anybody else who was in there just for a look, thank you for joining. Hit the like button, and we'll see you tomorrow. Squaddies at ease.